West Coast swing, whip, whip to left turn or inside turn, and whip to outside or right turn. We'll start with a basic demo of the step, and then we'll get into some techie stuff after that. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 from a different angle. So this 8-count pattern. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we want to talk about our 8-count patterns. They are 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So your syncopations are happening on your 3 and on the 7 and. Now from a rhythmical teaching perspective, you could use the words quicks and slows, although they don't truly apply because we all know that slows have 2 counts. But if you use it in West Coast swing, it'll get the idea across that the quicks are syncopations. So we would count that as slow, slow, quick, quick, slow, 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 quick, quick, slow. If I show you the pattern now again using quicks and slows, you'll see where we are accelerating our footwork. We have slow, slow, quick, quick, slow, 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 quick, quick, slow. The reason we like to do that is some of our folks are going to get behind the music when things start happening. So you got to get them realizing that there are some syncopated rhythms in this dance. Now, we'll start with a little bit of connection. For the lady, she's going to take her right hand, roll her fingertips down, so her fingertips are pointing to the ground. I'm going to take my left palm facing me, and I'm going to settle that into that underside of that hook. So I'm basically connecting with the pads on my 2 middle fingers to the pads of the middle fingers of my gal. We're going to ask that the heel of her hand fits firmly into the palm of my hand, and that way we have a feeling as if we have a lateral connection as well as a connection going back and forth. So in other words, I could steer my gal to the left and to the right, and I can steer her forward and backwards. The right hand in some of our basic movements, and even on the end of count 2, you'll see that my right hand is on the lady's left shoulder blade. The palm of my hand is facing towards her back, and my elbow is low. It's not elevated, as it is so often in a lot of our smooth dances, particularly all of our ballroom dances. We'll get Sheila to talk about the position of her left hand on my arm.
So ladies, because his elbow is actually down, we take our upper left arm, so the upper part here, and we'll just kind of clamp it over top of there. We don't close it and squeeze, we'll just clamp it on there so we have actually a good connection point, and then the left hand can just rest on the top of his arm.
It'll rest on the top of my arm as opposed to a more normal ballroom position where it's wrapped around to the back of my arm with the thumb in the deltoid notch up here. This position will get a lot of our people into trouble on a lot of West Coast swing moves. The arm will get trapped a lot of times, so ask your ladies just keep it more to the front, and that way it slips off more easily. We should go over the footwork for the gentleman's whip, basic whip. With my back to you, we're going to take a step back on our left, slightly back diagonal out of the slot because we know the lady's going by our right side. We're going to small step crossing in front, 3 and turning slightly to the right on the spot. These are the quick quicks. 3 and. Straddle the slot facing your gal on count 4. Right shoulder back, count 5. Left foot back into the slot for count 6 with rotation, facing your gal now. And we've got an anchor step for the quick, quick, slow. 7 and 8. One more time, I'll show you from probably a side view here. We've got back with a small crossing step. And I'm going to point out here, one thing we don't want to see is a step back and an actual crossing with forward progression of my body. That will shorten the slot, and it'll get us into a lot of arm stretching problems and hip bumps and all those other things that can go wrong. So I'm stepping back on 1, small crossing step, keeping my foot under me for count 2. I've cleared the path for the gal. I'm now out of her way. 3 and turning to the side. 3 and on the spot for the quick. Straddle the slot on count 4. Right shoulder back for count 5. Continue rotation for count 6, stepping back into the slot facing your gal. Anchor step for 7 and 8, or quick, slow. Ladies' footwork. I'll do this with Sheila because I have the mic.
Okay, so ladies' footwork, we're going to step straight forward. He is stepping straight back. So our right foot goes forward. You notice at this point he's starting to angle his body off the line, and he's going to actually take this hand out and cause a lead, which is actually going to cause me to, as I take that step, rotate into a back step.
We'll talk a little bit more about that lead in a moment.
So what happens is we don't actually go like this and pivot ourselves around. We're actually going to be as if we're going to take another step, and we end up starting with a side step that rotates into a back step. That is your count 2. He's now caught me on my back with his right hand. He sends me back now to a back together forward, which is a coaster step. I finish on count 4 between his feet. He now, with his hand and this connection, he's going to rotate, causing me to step back on count 5. Count
Release.
6.
Release the hand by count 6.
And then we're going to anchor on the spot. So we'll go through that footwork now from a different direction.
Should go this way.
Okay, so we're going 1. By the end of 2, we're turned back. We're going to do our coaster back together forward or between his feet. He's going to rotate us. We're going to step back on our left, back on our right, anchor on the spot.
Let's just talk quickly about the lead that causes a lady to rotate. So she's stepping forward on 1, but I'm going to create a lead now that's going to cause her to take her left shoulder forward to turn this into a side step that finishes as a backing step. By this point in time, I will have the palm of my hand on her back, and we will be at 90 degrees to each other. So if I show you from this angle, we've got 1, lead 2, 3, and 4. You may ask, well, what is the lead? The lead is what we like to describe as a J hook or a fish hook. What it effectively does, if I draw it in this direction for you, I'm leading forward on 1. Once the lady's weight is on her right foot, I'm creating a J. So I'm actually drawing a J on the tabletop. If you imagine a piece of chalk, you're drawing a J. And that little hook at the end is what causes our gal to rotate.
So that's why when the ladies step forward, there isn't any turn yet because he's drawing that straight part of the J, and here comes the rotation. So she ends up into a side step. We've got to finish back. So that just actually blends with the momentum of the dance because we're not going to stop on count 2 and go on here and then here. It's going to become one fluid motion. So you actually hit that side step briefly as you turn into a back step. And that goes up to count 4.
Right shoulder back for count 5.
5,
Back
6.
in the slot for 6, anchor step. We'll talk a little bit about count 6. Count 6 is like count 4 in our basic 6 count patterns. On count 4 of a basic pattern or count 6 of a whip, your hand is done moving. What I mean by that, if I do an underarm, 2, 3, and 4, this hand now stays in this position. We can anchor off that, or it's called posting. If you imagine our hand being on top of a fence post, that stays in position. We create our stretch, our leverage, without moving that hand. You want to talk about the leverage, Sheila?
Okay, so once we've actually hit this spot, whether it's count 6 of your whip pattern or count 4 of your basic 6 count patterns, it means that we're not actually going to travel in either direction towards a man or this way. We're going to now take our free foot. So the guy has his right foot free, the lady has her left foot free, and we're going to take and place it behind our standing foot, change weight onto that, to the forward foot, which is his right, or his left, my right. And once we change weight, then we're going to replace it back to our back foot. So this is all done in a third position. We have taken that foot into third position, forward and back. So when we do that together, this now for the whip is count 7 and 8. It goes 7 and 8. As we finish count 8, we take our weight just a little bit back away from our body.
And that's best described as settling back through the hip. I'm going to take my right hip back. Sheila will take her left hip back.
And you'll notice that our bodies at this point, when we first started our count 7, we're a little bit closer to our arms. And as we finished count 8, 7 and 8, we've now taken our body away from that arm. So we moved our center back a little bit. And it does not happen from the upper part of the shoulders, which is sometimes what people do incorrectly, is they feel they have to produce an anchor, and so they pull back up here.
And it most certainly does not happen by pulling your arms towards your bodies for either one of you.
Right, so no bicep action. All it is this center of your body, and it's just settling back so that the weight actually goes towards the back of the foot, and you have 2 straight legs, and then you have this nice connection and stretch away from our partners, which we call our anchor step. That happens at the ends of most of our patterns.
So once you establish that connection, it's going to feel like the stretching of a rubber band. Once you feel like you're connected, we can then feel as if we can lead our lady forward on 1. So that's a feeling that we'd like everybody to experience. So moving on, the whip to the inside turn or the left turn will look like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. From a different angle. My footwork, gentlemen, stays exactly the same. I'm going to do some different leads on 4, 5, 6, but my footwork is the same. The footwork does change for our gal. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. As I step across the slot on 4, the palm is going towards the lady, the fingers are pointing towards my right shoulder, which is the indication, the direction that I would like her to turn. Left shoulder going back, hence inside turn or left turn. So we lead her forward on 5, release the arm for 6, finish the rotation, we're posted, anchor step, quick, quick, slow, 7 and 8. One more time without stopping. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Other angle. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, release, 7, and 8.
Okay, so let's go over the ladies' footwork here. So, ladies, the count 4 is the magical thing. Everything is exactly the same in the regular whip as this whip, 2, 3, and 4. The only difference is here, he's taking his left hand, he's bringing it through the connection. Now we say to ourselves, oh, something is changing. We're not going to exit the same way. So, ladies, don't make a mistake here and see this hand and think you should turn around, because that's not a cool thing to do right now. You're in a very compromised position. So he's going to walk you straight forward for count 6.
So, gentlemen, the way I do that is by taking my right shoulder back
Count 5.
on count 5, which causes the lady to step forward on her left foot on count 5. We're here on 5. At this point, I release the right arm. The lady has momentum going back down the slot. Let her finish her movement. 6, 7, and 8.
So we'll talk just a little bit more about how we know what's happening there at the end of that. So up to count 4 is the same. Like we said, 1, 2, 3, and 4. He's going to walk us forward for 5. He's going to walk us forward for 6 before he actually draws the rest of the rotation. And if we follow this arm around, it's going to actually turn us to face him. We're going to do our anchor step, taking our left foot and guys right into our 3rd position and doing our anchor step on the spot.
So, gentlemen, you'll notice that after I lead my gal around to finish the turn, the connection goes down. I don't want to leave it up there because she'll be off balance. We should move on to the outside turn or the right turn on count 5. It looks like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We finish in an inverted handhold. From this angle, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You notice that I kept a guiding hand on the lady's shoulder to help her through that turn. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Here's where the lady's arm has to get off of mine. If it's hooked here, that's what we were talking about earlier, she's got a devil of a time getting released. She might get hung up.
Okay, so ladies, again, this whip, like the other 2 that we talked about, we're going to up to count 4, do exactly the same footwork. So we'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slightly different this time. Instead of bringing the connection through here, he's going to actually take it out to the side, raise it up. We're going to be palm to palm here. I now know I'm going to be turning very, very soon.
You'll also notice that my fingers are pointing outwards this time rather than inwards. So they're pointing outwards, which gives the lady the indication that that's the direction I'd like her to turn. So we're here on 4.
Use this frame to
At
settle.
5. Initiate the turn on 6. The gal's facing away from me on 6. Bring the arm down, finish the turn, anchor, step for 7 and 8. Because we finished in the inverted handhold, underarm turn to fix the hand. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, so ladies, again, we're going to go up to count 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once we know that this turn is happening, he's going to do a rotation of his frame. It's going to cause us to take a step back on our left foot. That is the same as the basic whip. Now he's going to take this hand and draw it around the head. We're going to pivot half a turn away from him. And as you follow this hand again, as he draws the rest of the connection, we're going to turn our body and 7 and 8. So with one fluid motion, we'll do that for you again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pivot back, forward, and anchor on the spot. So she does have to make that rotation at the end from this last spot here. She does have to go again here to do her anchor. Some ladies will get a little hung up there.
Anything else to add?
No.
One other thing, little point that I do want to make. This footwork that we're teaching for the gentlemen especially is one way of doing it. There are many different ways from many different pros as to how to lead this so-called basic whip, which interestingly enough is not so basic. It actually is a very complex pattern, and there are a lot of ways that this pattern can go bad. Using the footwork that we have taught you here will hopefully keep most of our gentlemen out of trouble. And so just be careful to watch for that footwork as we're describing it. Back diagonal and a step underneath, slightly crossing. What we don't want to see is a side step on 1, which means I must be leading with my lady forward with an arm lead. I want to use a body lead, take my body back to lead her forward on 1. The other thing we don't want to see is a side step and an arm lead plus a forward moving step on count 2, which effectively now really shortens the slot and leads to all sorts of interesting problems. So have fun with this. It is a complex step. Probably teach it broken down into up to 4. Work the pattern over and over again up to count 4. Once they're comfortable with that, then add on the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8. If you get this happening up to count 4, the rest is downhill easy from there.
And good point to do it together and or do it separately, then put everybody together to learn it, because the footwork needs to be there first before they actually can develop the lead and the ladies can actually feel what's going on. So get their footwork in there first and then put them together, and good luck with all that and have fun.
Thank you.